I want to talk to you about a really interesting thing that happened to me right after the school shooting happened in Nashville. So, not too long after that tragedy occurred, I was told by a former client of mine. Well, she asked me if I would allow her to raise money for kids and families that had been affected by the school shooting. I think she raised about $15,000 in like 4 days. And in that process, I was like, well, where am I going to put this money? And, because you can't just throw it in your bank account. And I sat down with my husband and said, well, what about that nonprofit idea that I had 16 years ago, right when Rebecca, my oldest daughter, was born? In a God-like turn of events, I have started my own nonprofit called Advocate for the Creative Child. And we are now a ministry department of Artists for Community Transformation, which is a nonprofit ministry that has been in the Brentwood area, well, actually all around the world, for decades. Byron Spradlin, who is a dear friend of ours, started this nonprofit many years ago. And he has ministry departments underneath the umbrella and kind of houses all of them. And so, Advocate for the Creative Child is now a ministry department of Artists for Community Transformation. And what I was so thrilled about is I just kind of barely announced this in a newsletter that went out a week ago. And I'm already having people donate, which is just like kind of shocking to me. Here's what the money will go to. So, what we know about trauma in children is that if you study or read about the work of Bruce Perry is the co-author of a book called What Happened to You. He co-authored that book with Oprah Winfrey. His program and training, called the Neurosequential Model of Therapeutics, states that mitigators of trauma include drumming, art, music, dance, movement. It really encompasses the creative arts as well as trauma-informed therapy for children, specifically play-based therapies for kids. So this fund will be underwriting children to be able to attend dance, music, and art classes, children that would not have otherwise been able to afford those services, as well as trauma-informed therapy that is creative and play-based, because what we know about children is that their ability to talk through trauma is not efficient. The best way for them to process trauma is through play. And so that is the purpose of Advocate for the Creative Child, not only to underwrite dance studios, art studios, music studios that can anonymously reach out to me and let me know that there is a child that is in need, that needs to be underwritten. And what I'm so excited about is that child will never know that it was Advocate for the Creative Child unless somebody tells them. The dance studio owner will know, that obviously the art studio or music studio owner will know, but the child will not know. And I'm going to tell you why. So, as a child myself, I'm a trauma survivor myself. And as a child, I kind of grew up in a dance studio where I years later found out that all of those dance classes that I was taking, they were underwritten by someone that I don't actually know who it was. But what I do know is that I spent sometimes 5 days a week there, really surviving a very traumatic upbringing myself. And, I can tell you that I was raised in a lot of financial insecurity, and my parents simply could not afford the dance classes that I was taking. And so the fact that I have an opportunity at my age with the profession that I'm in to start a nonprofit to allow young children just like me to be able to dance out their story and to paint out their story and to use music to write out their story and to mitigate those trauma symptoms that they're suffering from is so incredibly important to me, that I am in a place where I am now willing to tell my own story on these children's behalf. So I will be continuing to talk about this and educate the public on the importance of the creative arts. And I had one of the people that gave recently to Advocate for the Creative Child has a child who has very much benefited from the arts, and her child comes from, she's an adopted child that came from a situation of poverty and trauma. And this leader in the music industry is very aware of how the arts can save kids' lives. And I can absolutely say that's a big part of my own story. So this is the beginning of a long conversation, but I just wanted to let you guys know that you're going to be hearing more from me about Advocate for the Creative Child and educating the public on the importance of the arts with children who have been affected by trauma of any sort. And certainly none of us would have ever dreamed that a school shooting would have happened in Nashville. I mean, I know that's happening everywhere, but we thought we were exempt, and we were not. But that tragedy has birthed a new nonprofit called Advocate for the Creative Child, who we will specifically be underwriting children who have been affected by trauma, who cannot afford trauma-informed therapy services or dance, music, art classes. So I'm extremely pumped and excited to be the spokesperson for this mission, and we'll continue to educate the public on the importance of supporting our children in this way. If you have any questions at all, this nonprofit is like a literal newborn baby, and I am very open to having conversations with any of you that would like to be a part of this, who would like to know more. There are already children that have benefited from this fund. I am not currently taking any kind of salary from this nonprofit. It's truly a passion project. And my husband is an angel from God. He did all the paperwork. Thank you, Ron. And so, yeah, please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. And I will continue to post and talk more about it. Okay, take care.